I can drop a world lead, I don't even like running. You gotta run fast just to go and get some money. I'm no Elias K, you know how I'm coming. I ain't going to no Olympics, I ain't running, I ain't jumping. I can make 100,000 at the crib being funny.
As the IAAF announced, I am under suspicion of a doping violation. The mere fact of this allegation is personally harmful and hurtful.
Anytime a sprint doping scandal breaks, I see some comments over and over again. What about Usain Bolt? Wasn't he this? Wasn't he that? And then a large influx of Jamaican fans comes in his defense. He was the most tested athlete in the sport. But that claim, it's not just wrong, it's misleading, it's a smokescreen. Let's set the record straight. Usain Bolt was not one of the most drug-tested athletes in track and field history. He was not even close. Athletes like Galen Rupp, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, Allison Felix, Justin Gatlin, and Mo Farah were tested way more frequently, year after year. These weren't just sprinters. They were distance runners, middle distance runners, marathoners, athletes who stayed on the testers' radar constantly. Bolt, he was tested, but not at the volume his defenders love to assume. One reason people think Bolt was tested so much is because he broke records, a lot of them. And every time you break a world record, you're required to submit an in-competition drug test to get it ratified. But keep in mind, Bolt's in-competition tests mostly happen at championship meets and the one iconic 2008 world record meet in New York. Not during the regular circuit like many other athletes, since he really didn't compete much leading up to championships outside of Jamaica. So naturally, Bolt had a high number of in-competition tests. But here's the twist. Only about 20% of failed drug tests in track and field comes from in-competition testing. The other 80% happens out of competition, during training, at home, while you're off the radar. This is where it gets important. Out-of-competition tests are the real tests. They're unannounced, random, and they're where most cheaters get caught. You can't cycle off, you can't mask, you can't hide. Well, technically, you can. There are loopholes implemented to where you are able to get around missing tests and still no penalty. But that's not what this video is about. But here's what most fans don't know. Most out-of-competition tests aren't handled by WADA or World Athletics. They're carried out by each athlete's national anti-doping agency. And from 2008 to 2012, the situation in Jamaica was a disaster.
No, it's different. I think the federation in Jamaica, yes, they might not be doing 100%, but I think the Federation in Jamaica doesn't have a lot of money like everybody else around the world. We don't get a lot of sponsors like every other, like maybe US or Britain. And for me, this is my job. I can't just get up and go on strike like that. This is what I do for a living, so it's kind of hard to just decide that, you know what, I'm on strike. Yeah, there was a rumor going around that they were going to try to ban Jamaica if they didn't have the Jamaican drug testing facility in order, and they were putting it in place. But I'm saying, if you're going to say that, you got to be very careful of how you're saying it, because it's kind of hard to say that, because now that my sponsor said, if you don't run at the Olympics, why should we sponsor you? So I'm saying it's costing me money, so they should just sort this out, and there's no problem, because the IAAF president says the Jamaica Federation has done a good job in cracking down, and they're doing a good job. They just need help to develop the testing facilities a little bit more. So I think it's a problem, but I think they will sort it out, but they need to do it quickly.
During Usain Bolt's peak, the years he was rewriting the record books, Jamaica's anti-doping body, JADCO, was falling apart. The agency was severely understaffed, poorly trained, and in most cases, completely unprepared to meet WADA standards. In fact, in the 6 months leading up to the 2012 London Olympics, JADCO only conducted one out-of-competition test on the entire Jamaican Olympics team. That number is almost impossible to believe, and it's one of the reasons why WADA had to audit JADCO in 2013 and force major structural changes. So if Bolt was supposedly tested, or the most tested athlete, who was testing him and how often? Because in 2008 and 2012, the height of his dominance, Jamaica's testing system was borderline non-functional. And here's the pattern we've seen over and over in this sport. The more you win, the more protected you become. If you're breaking records, selling shoes, packing stadiums, you're an asset. And the anti-doping agencies don't go after assets unless they absolutely have to. There's a difference between being tested and being targeted. Most elite athletes know how to cycle around random tests. But if your national agency isn't even looking, the odds of getting caught are slim to none. Let me be 100% clear. This isn't about accusing Usain Bolt of anything. It's about correcting the narrative. Because when fans weaponize the most tested myth, they're protecting a system that doesn't actually protect clean sport. They're also shielding a structure that looks the other way until it's too late, or until someone becomes disposable. And if we're going to be honest about doping in track and field, we have to be honest about the gaps, the biases, and the protection of certain athletes. So no, Usain Bolt was not the most tested athlete in track and field, and he never was. That title belongs to others, the ones who weren't famous enough to be protected, the ones who got their doors knocked on at 5 a.m. over and over again, not because they were guilty, but because they weren't too valuable to lose. In track and field, testing isn't always about catching cheaters. Sometimes it's about controlling narratives. And most tested athlete is often just the one who's least protected. If you're tired of the lies, the cover-ups, and the untouchables, this channel is for you, because someone needs to tell the truth about this sport.
World champion of what? World champion of what?
I can chop a world lead, I don't even like running. You gotta run fast just to go and get some money. I'm no Elias K, you know how I'm coming. I ain't going to no Olympics, I ain't running, I ain't jumping. I can make 100,000 at the crib being funny.